For your enjoyment, I'm going to connect the Hunchback of Notre Dame to Frozen via Phoebus and Kristoff. Hey there, family members, I'm McGann, and this is the Fangirl, where I get answers, darn it! Now, this video is coming from kind of a sideways request on Twitter. Marie Lum was asking a cartoon theorist to make Phoebus related to Kristoff, then Ashley Williams recommended me, and I went all Harvey Birdman going, I'll take the case! I mean, why not? The Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of Disney's darkest movies, and I love it so much that I will take any excuse to talk about it. Plus, I love connecting Disney movies together, and I already put together The Little Mermaid and Frozen, so let's do this! Okay, so the first step is easy. We already know that Phoebus and Esmeralda do have a son named Zephyr in The Hunchback of Notre Dame too. The first Hunchback movie is set in 1482, which is a date handed to us by the author of the book, which means we're looking way before the days of birth control, and Phoebus is a Catholic man who really seems to love his wife, so yeah, they're likely to have a lot of kids during the course of their marriage. And we can see that Zephyr really favors his dad, so yeah, those blonde hair genes are super strong. And that really just boils down to the shaggy blonde hair and bulbous nose and such are strong enough that they might keep moving down the family line. Next issue, we know that Frozen is set in 1839 because there's a little mark on one of the maps in Frozen Fever that tells us the date. And that's a pretty big gap, so I thought maybe there were other Disney characters that would fit in the family tree here and make this theory a little bit stronger. I have one candidate in mind, but in all sincerity, we have a ton of Disney dudes that have that really square jawline, but Phoebus has a very particular kind of nose. I mean, it's huge. And his scruffy blonde hair seems to be a dominant gene too. Although, side note, seriously, how did Zephyr not have a little bit more color to him? I mean, blonde is a recessive gene. He should have at least had black hair. But obvious character design flaw aside, with Esmeralda being from a people where their culture is historically known to travel, it's not unreasonable to think that Phoebus and Esmeralda's children would go off and be wanderers or adventurers too. We even see that Zephyr has this thirst for adventure because he tries to run away and join the circus. So it's not far-fetched to think that Zephyr might grow up and leave Paris. And if he was a typical young man who had this need to rebel against his parents, I mean, what do you have here? You have this really free-spirited mother that's probably all, do as you please, there is no wrong answer. And then your dad, who's the captain of the guard, and who also brags about being named after the sun god. So maybe that would take Zephyr as far north as north goes. Really, Zephyr could have ended up going anywhere and marrying anyone, and the same goes for his children, which means getting Phoebus's DNA up to Norway isn't that difficult at all. You just have to use a touch of your imagination. Now, as for Frozen, it's set in 1839, like I already mentioned, and Kristoff is not just an orphan, he's one of a few people who is willing to go brave the dangers to collect ice. Indeed, it's a noble career in future death. But really, Kristoff is also an adventurer and a wanderer. I would try to say that Kristoff is Zephyr's son, since Zephyr has so much ambiguity for his future, but the stories are set 350 years apart, so yeah, that's not happening. I'm not doing that BS where Tarzan and Anna and Elsa are related. That's nonsense! But 350 years means that there's been conservatively 12 generations between Phoebus and Kristoff. And really, that just helps our odds because 12 generations back is like, what? Hundreds of great to the something power grandfathers? You know what they say, if you go back far enough, everybody's related. So based off the faces of Kristoff and Phoebus, plus the sheer distance between their timelines, it is really easy to argue and believe that the two men are related in the Disneyverse. And even though this part isn't as solid, I would like to throw out there that maybe Flynn Rider is one of our missing link relatives. And that works in a lot of ways because not only does Flynn have that really square jaw and a nose complex, but Tangled is set in Germany in the 1780s, and Flynn is really likely to eventually have children with Rapunzel, who is the future queen of Corona. And unless you're next in line for the throne, the typical response for the other princes and princesses in that era is to marry them off to other kingdoms, which could easily include Germany's nearby neighbor, Norway. Now, the funny thing about being in a royal family is that after so many generations, they start cutting off the automatic titles. So if your great-grandfather is king and your grandfather is a prince, but he's not directly in line for the throne and he didn't marry somebody royal, then your dad may also have the title of prince, but unless, again, he marries somebody royal, you, as the child of a prince, might not get the title of prince or princess because you're so far removed from the crown at that point. It varies by country, but it's not hard to imagine that Kristoff could be from a lineage like that. He's a few generations removed from a royal title, but he's an orphan, so he doesn't know anything about his backstory. And of course, this is all only if you really want to have a family tree that's Phoebus, Zephyr, some randos, Eugene Fitzherbert, some more randos, Kristoff. I'll leave the option up to you as to whether or not you like that bit or not. But again, with just a tiny bit of use from our imagination, we can easily connect Kristoff to Phoebus. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun. Well, family members, we're almost done, but I want to invite you to hang out with me in some other places. I'm on Twitter and Instagram as my own personal self, and I have a Facebook page too, but I mostly just post photos over there. And sometimes people say, "Hey McGann, I want to mail you something. How do I do that?" Easy. Just click the About tab on my channel page, and my most current P.O. Box info will be right there. I also run another channel, The Family. It's really a hodgepodge channel where we might post anything. Oh yeah, and I also sell shirts and stickers and stuff with the Family and the Fangirl logos. If that is your cup of tea, I have a link in every description of every video. Finally, if you want to help out the Fangirl channel and make sure I'm putting out video essays for years to come, the best way you can help is by subscribing and watching more of my videos, whether they're new, old, whatever. Maybe even share one or two on social media, help spread the word. People who watch to the end of videos, like you, helps to tell the site, hey, this is a good video, we should recommend it to other people. So if you made it this far, leave me a comment of something like, hey, I made it to the end. Love ya. See you next time, family members. Bye.